What's the plan form?
Yes,
Can I have that?
of course. Is that coming on? Yeah.
What are you giving me later?
Okay.
I focus on this.
Well, like Dr. Lyman said earlier, anything can go wrong. So I got to school this morning and found out that the printers don't work. But luckily, I have a USB. I just tried to plug my USB in, didn't work. Luckily, I emailed it to myself. Have alternatives. All right, we're going to be learning about Christopher Columbus today. Would anyone like to read the objective? Yes.
Instructional objective. By the end of the lesson, students will understand the significance of Christopher Columbus' exploration and will be able to determine his true accomplishments.
Thank you very much. We're all familiar with Christopher Columbus, right?
Yes.
Okay, raise your hand if you don't know who Christopher Columbus is. Okay. So, the first thing we're going to do is take out a pen, piece of paper, chisel, whatever you use, write down anything you know about Christopher Columbus. You can confer with your partner. Keep it limited to pairs. Take a couple of minutes. Whatever it is you know, simple things. How's everybody doing? Look up when you're finished. So, I'll explain it what we want to know. You can tell them what you like. Alright guys, let's bring it back together. It's okay if you don't have that much. I originally had KWL charts to hand out to you, but the library doesn't like to cooperate. So what I would like you to do is, with the things that you have that you know, that's going to be in, obviously, the K section. As the lesson goes on, anything you learn, feel free to write that. Okay, so who wants to start it off? What do we know about Christopher Columbus? Yes?
I know his first voyage was to the Bahamas.
Okay. He sailed to the Bahamas. Do you know what he called it when he got there?
Vacation.
Well, it wasn't always called Bahamas. Does anyone know? No? Okay, it was called San Salvador. That's okay. He sailed to... I'm going to write San Salvador. Salvador. Okay, anything else? Yes, James.
Had 3 ships.
He had 3 ships. Does anyone know what they were called? Yes. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Okay. Now, if anyone can find out what all 3 of those things mean, you get extra credit for next class. What else do we have? Yes.
He discovered America by accident.
He discovered America by accident. Okay. I'll just write that he discovered America.
Alright.
Sorry, my handwriting's not as neat as your previous PDFs.
Wasn't he trying to find a way to India?
He was trying to find a way to India. Okay. What else do we have, guys? Yes. From Italy. Where specifically? You don't know? Does anyone know? Anyone at all? Jaden? Genoa. Genoa, Italy. Very good. Genoa. Okay, yes, you had your hand raised.
His exploration was sponsored by Greece.
Very good. What was her name?
Zarina.
Very good. Sponsored by Spain. All right, what to teach you guys? You gotta leave me something. What else do we know? Anything else? Is that all we know about? Well, we all agree that he discovered America.
Yes.
No one's disputing that? Oh, we've got 4 disputes. Okay, hold on to those. Hold on to those. Okay, what do we want to know? Let's think about that for a minute. What exactly do we want to know? You can think about that. Yes. Both, whichever.
I want to know why he's from Italy, but he was discovering the people out of Spain.
Very, very good question. Did everyone hear him? Okay, he said he wants to know why he's from Italy, but he's sailing for Spain. That's a very good question. Why sail for Spain? What other questions do we have? We have some disagreements about discovering America, yes.
Why was he going to try to visit India?
Why was he trying to get to India? Great question. Why? Say it. That's my job. Get to India. What else do we want to know about him? Yes.
How did you discover all these different places in 1 year?
Okay. He didn't do it in 1 year. Well, good question. So he did it.
Almost. What did you do?
That's how.
How did you do?
Discover all places. What else do we want to know? What's coming up? We have a day coming up soon. Oh. So perhaps it's appropriate that I'm teaching you this lesson. What else do we want to know? Why do we celebrate Columbus Day? Does anyone want to know that?
Yeah, why do we celebrate it?
All right, I'll write that. Good question, guys. Why do we celebrate? Okay, all right. Anything else? All right, so it looks like we have a decent wealth of knowledge. We got a couple things we don't know yet. But we all seem to feel like Christopher Columbus has a certain amount of credibility to him. So let's see if that's really true. If this doesn't load. Murphy's Law is working against me today. Bear with me. Do I have to turn the speakers on from somewhere? Does anyone know? On top? Thank you.
Of thinking positive. Positive thinking is powerful.
Welcome to Feeling Confident.
Welcome to Lifelong Lives.
Christopher Columbus, history's greatest navigator, explorer, and traveler. So great, in fact, that he refused to stop traveling, even after his death. When Columbus died in 1506, he was originally buried in a small cemetery in Valladolid, Spain. This was to be the first of his many final resting places. Then his body was moved across Spain to Seville. When Columbus's oldest son, Diego, died in 1526, he was buried beside his father. Diego's wife respectfully requested the Spanish courts to have the remains moved to the cathedral in Santo Domingo in Hispaniola. So the bodies of Columbus and his son were moved across the Atlantic Ocean and were buried under the right side of the altar in the cathedral in Santo Domingo. Now remember, it's the right side. This will be important later. And that was that. Well, that was that for the next 200 years. In 1795, France captured the island of Hispaniola from Spain. That's right, the French won a fight. But the Spanish were not allowed to leave the remains of their beloved Columbus behind. Once again, they dug up the remains of Columbus and moved them to Havana, Cuba. Another 100 years later, when Cuba went independent from Spain, the remains were moved again from Havana back to Seville, which isn't where it started, but close enough. So if you visit the cathedral today, you will find the tomb of Columbus, but the story doesn't end there. No, really. In 1877, workers renovating the cathedral in Santo Domingo found a box under the left side of the altar containing human remains, and guess whose name was on it? It was obvious that the left and right sides of the altar depended on which way you were facing. Many historians thought that the body that had been moved to Havana in 1795 was really that of Diego, and Columbus had been in Santo Domingo all along. Others claimed the wrong body was moved from Havana to Seville, and Columbus's remains are really in Cuba, while others argued that Columbus's remains never left Valladolid. Recently, Spanish scientists used DNA analysis to get to the bottom of it all, but the answer was obvious. A brief examination of the bones in Seville showed that they must have been that of Columbus's son Diego. So Columbus's final resting place? Santo Domingo, or so we think.
Alright guys. For some strange reason that was the wrong link, but I know it seemed a little bit irrelevant to what I said we were going to see, but it's still interesting because there's a lot of things about Christopher Columbus we don't understand. Alright. Can someone read to me what the first thing is and what we want to know? Yes.
Why did he sail for Spain?
Okay, why did he sail for Spain? This is an interesting question. He was born in Italy, like we said. Now, what was Christopher Columbus most famous for that they allowed him to sail, that Spain approved his traveling expenses? What was he famous for? What did he know that other people didn't know? What was he good at that other people weren't good at?
Navigation.
Navigation. He studied navigation. Columbus knew that the world was what? Right. And no one else did, right? Wrong. Everyone knew the world was round. There is evidence from Pythagoras and the Greeks and mathematicians for ages that knew the world was round. In fact, anyone that was scholarly at this time knew the world was round and that it was larger than Christopher Columbus said it was. Does anyone know how big Christopher Columbus thought the world was? 2,400 miles around. Okay, I'll run track. I could run that right now. That's not that much. He thought you could sail. Let me show you guys. Okay, Christopher Columbus is sailing for Spain. Now, the reason why he sailed for Spain is because Spain was interested in the spices that were in the Indies over here. He wanted to land in Asia, India, these places. But everyone else had to sail down and around Africa to get there. What Columbus said was, no, the world is only 2,400 miles around. I can travel this way and get there. What did he not know? Yes?
That there was Greenlander.
The west side of the world. He thought that this was the world, and that was it. He thought that if he sailed this way, he could end up in Asia. He was extremely nautically challenged. We give him credit for whatever reason. He ends up, so Spain approves his traveling expenses to go there. But before that, he tried to sail for Italy. He tried to sail for Portugal. Yes?
Didn't he get to do an argument with the king and queen?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you on that. He was turned down by Italy, he was turned down by Portugal, and he was turned down by several other nations before Spain approved his traveling expenses. Does anyone know what was going on at this time that Spain gave him a shot? they said, you know what, let's take a chance with this guy. There was competition going on already. World competition for world domination. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the European countries were competing for colonies. So I
Right.
figured there was an easier way to get to, Asia that would help them colonize more of Asia before the other competitors.
Very good. Now, they weren't necessarily colonizing it, but this is what was leading to it. Right now, they're just looking for spices. But Portugal is ahead of the game. Portugal's already done things like this. They've already had travelers and they've already had explorers. So Spain says, you know what? They turned him down. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand turned him down several times. But they said, you know what? Let's give him a shot. They said, maybe we can beat out Portugal. So the first voyage, he goes to San Salvador. He has 3 ships, which we identified earlier. Now, is that a lot? They don't know where he's going. They don't know where he's going to end up. They don't know what kind of resources he'll need. They gave him 3 ships. Does that sound generous to you guys? It does? No. Why not?
I mean, wouldn't he need, like, more if he doesn't know where he's going?
He's got no idea where he's going. So, even though we see Spain as investing in Christopher Columbus, are they really investing in him? No. They're just saying, all right, go ahead. We got you a couple of ships that they paid for. They didn't even pay for them. They borrowed them. So, it's for competition. And what happens if he doesn't find anything? What happens if he can't get to the Indies, the East Indies, through this western route? Yes?
Nothing.
Exactly. Does Spain suffer? No. This is Christopher Columbus. He thinks he's divinely chosen to go and search for this new route. That's what he thinks. So he's resting on the fact that there's a chance, and Spain is giving him that chance, but they don't really care. When he gets there, he finds San Salvador. Where does he think he is? Yes. He thinks he's in India. Why do we call people over here West Indians? Because he thought they were Indians. So are we starting to see a strike on Christopher Columbus' credibility here? Okay. So he thought that they were West Indians. So what does he call them? Indians. Does anyone know the population that he discovered? What they were called? Yes. Yes. Does anyone know another? Someone that we wouldn't hear of now because they're extinct. Anyone? No? Possibly, I'm not sure. The Taino Indians. Have you guys heard of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Have you met any?
No.
Why? Why are they extinct? So maybe, perhaps, when Christopher Columbus got there, he wasn't so nice to them. So, yes. Oh, okay. Does anyone have any questions about this so far? Yes.
You saying that you said which ones are extinct?
The Tainos.
Oh, I was gonna say the Arawaks and Arabs. They still some that survive to this day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to comment on that? No? Okay. So he finds the West Indies. West Indies. Does anyone correct him? Does anyone say, no, you're not here? You're not where you think you are? No. Okay. What else do we have here? Why was he trying to get to India? We established that. Who can tell me what? Yes?
Queen Isabella's looking for spices.
Looking for spices. What else are you looking for? Yeah.
Faster route.
Faster route. Good. Yes.
Land so they can colonize.
Eventually. Yes. Good. Okay. So we got this. This is good. We got this. All right. How did he discover all these places? Now, he writes a letter back to the king when he gets there and says, all right, I found this great stuff. I found these great people. I think he did find some gold, he found some spices. He sends them all this information back so he can boost up his credibility for his second voyage. So that's how he ends up discovering all these different places. On his second voyage, guess how many ships they gave him? Take a guess. 10? Good guess. 17. 17 ships. You know how many men were on those ships? 1,200 men. What's the difference, and why is it such a big difference? Yes?
Because now he's kind of, in a way, built credibility, and
Ah.
now they're starting to trust him.
So Spain has incentive, right? Okay. So 17 ships, 1,200 men. And this is where he starts discovering different places.
I
Yes?
was going to ask, when they commissioned the second voyage, do they think he's actually found a second route to the West Indies, or do they know that he's not there, he's somewhere else?
You know, that's never made clear. All they know is he found something that they can use. They found gold, they found people that don't seem to be organized under any kind of law and such. But that's a very good question. And we'll get to that later with the Miracle of Vespucci. Okay, his third voyage. This is where things start to get a little crazy. Christopher Columbus is said to have enslaved 1,500 Taino Indians. He brought back 200 back to Europe. Did anybody know about this? Any of you guys know? You knew about this. Okay. How come they don't tell us this? Yeah.
You don't want to tarnish the image of him as a discoverer and make him look like a slave.
Very good, very good. Enslaving. Enslaves people. So they don't want to tarnish his image. Okay. Now we're going to look at, this is a letter that Christopher Columbus wrote to the men who helped to finance his trip. Can you guys see this? Is this big enough? No? Okay. Better?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone want to read the first paragraph? Yes.
As I know that you will be pleased at the great victory with which our Lord has crowned my voyage, I will write this to you, from which you will learn how in 33 days I passed from the Canary Islands to the Indies with the fleet which the most illustrious king and queen, our sovereigns, gave to me. And I found very many islands filled with people innumerable, and of them all I have taken possession for their highnesses by proclamations made and with the royal standard unfurled, and no opposition was offered to me.
Does anything strike you guys? Yes.
That none of them opposed him when he's taken into slavery.
No opposition was offered to me. Did he say that he enslaved anyone? No. Did he say that he did anything, I don't know, debatable? No. But he said there was no opposition offered to him. What does that suggest? Yes.
Well, to me, it's just his mind. Because who's going to go willingly to leave their country with a strange person and they have no idea who he is, doesn't speak their language, nothing, you just go.
Very possible.
No one does that.
Very possible. After Christopher Columbus's third voyage, there are reports to the court that are sent back to Spain that there are reports of tyranny. Can anyone tell us what tyranny is? Anyone?
Is that when somebody on your ship like rats out with the captain? Is that something else?
No, not exactly. Tyranny. Yes.
And is that when you go into government?
Yes. It's related. It's yes.
It's when a single person governs, absolutely, usually utilizing fear as a means to exact his way.
Okay, he's utilizing fear. These are the reports that are sent back to the court. What happens when these reports get back? He is placed in jail. Did anyone know Christopher Columbus was in jail? Yes? Okay. Yes? No? All right, Christopher Columbus ends up in jail. Now, after these reports of tyranny and other, unnatural things, let's read his, this is a letter after his third voyage. Does anyone want to read this? Yes.
It is now 17 years since I came to serve these princes with the enterprise of the Indies. They made me pass 8 of them in discussion, and at the end I rejected it as a thing of jest. Nevertheless, I persisted therein. Over there I have placed under their sovereignty more land than there is in Africa and Europe, and more than 1,700 islands.
Very good. Does someone else want to read the next paragraph, the parts that are in bold? Yes.
In 7 years, I, by the divine will, made that conquest, was entitled of charges made by civilians who had revolted and wished to take position on the land.
Very good. So he's defending himself. Now, isn't it interesting that he wrote these letters? Did anyone else write about him? Did anyone else come defend him? No, he's writing these letters. What does this say? What does this tell us? Yes.
That no one was defending him.
Okay, maybe it tells, yes, very good. And perhaps, moreover, it tells us that it's him who's establishing what he did. So, he's building up his own credibility. The reason that I emboldened these things is because he says, I was entitled. He thinks he deserves this credit. He, in 7 years, by the divine will, made the conquest. What does that mean? God told him to come here. Okay, so now what I want you guys to do, with the things that you now know, I want you to think about these few questions. 1, how were Christopher Columbus's goals different from his achievements? What does this tell us? Number 2, what role does Christianity play in his exploration? And number 3, how does his journal entries reflect the significance of the exploration for Columbus and for Europe? Yes. The first one, how does Columbus's goals differ from his achievements? What role does Christianity play in its exploration? That's the second question. And the third is, how do his journal entries reflect the significance of his exploration? Quickly answer these, please. You don't have to go too much into detail. I'm not trying to rush you.
In a couple minutes.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any ideas about these? About the answers to these questions? Yes.
Well, first when he went to India and ended up in San Salvador.
Right.
Not India.
Right. So that's how his goals were different from his achievements. Right? Anyone else want to add to that? Yeah.
He went to spices and he ended up in Africa.
Okay. Okay. How about the second question? Yes.
Christianity was the moral justification for his acts.
Ah, this is why we're allowed to enslave the people. This is why we're allowed to do the things we're doing. Christianity. We're showing them our faith. The third question? The third question? Yeah. Sure. How does his journal entries reflect the significance of the exploration?
How he personally felt.
How he personally felt. Good. Thank you. You want to add to that?
No.
So it's self-branding. Don't we see a lot of that in our culture today? Okay, so he's talking about himself. This paves the way, perhaps, for our American culture. Do we see that? Okay. Very quickly, what did we learn? Yes.
Then he was
Okay, good. What else? Yes.
He was imprisoned.
Good, yes.
He had different goals than achievements.
Different goals from his achievements. Yes. Divine will. Yes.
He was responsible for wiping out a whole race of
Right. And not that we have to credit that whole thing to him, but he's definitely part of it. Anything else? Very good, guys. Great lesson today.
Okay, now, what can we say about the class?
Still under all the difficulties, he did a good job. A lot of things didn't go as he expected, and he found that he carried the lesson.
He adjusted, he was able to work things out, even though there was some glitches.
He seemed really excited about the topic.
Really passionate about the topic. What about his knowledge of the subject?
I think it was really
really good because he basically told us on what we wanted to know, not what he planned, so that was.
Had a real command for the language. A lot of the questions that you asked, he knew the answers to, so he was really prepared.
If he didn't know the answer, he was like, oh, I'll check that for you. And he didn't like.
Now make sure you get back to those. What else can you say about the lesson?
He kind of like, with the whole, what you wanted to know, he kind of knew where everybody was going to be going with that, so
He
like,
anticipated
yeah.
well. Yeah, I think he pretty much knew, he had a plan, he knew where he was going. How about the amount of information that was covered? Was it too much, was it too little, just enough? What do you think? You know, I don't know. I feel we covered quite a bit of ground.
No, I think that based on what we already knew, it wasn't too much, because we know
Yeah.
most of.
Okay. Always remember, you know, it's not what you teach, it's what the students learn, you know, and I think that the summary at the end, you know, was kind of, you know, gave us an indication of what was covered. I just thought that there was just a wealth of information. And I think you accomplished your objective of questioning his credibility, and, you know, certainly we've all learned some things that we didn't know, which was a plus. Things are going to happen, you know, when you teach a class, and you gotta roll with it. You know, when you showed the wrong clip, you know, it kind of sidetracked you a little bit. You know, that's stuff like that can happen, but from my perspective, you rolled with it, you were able to readjust and get back on track. The only thing I would say is, be conscious of how much material you're going to cover. And I just thought there was a lot. I don't know if the right clip had been shown, if that it would have been a little bit different.
Definitely.
You know, I think it probably
I
would
wouldn't
have.
have had to do too much in that.
Yeah, I think that would have helped a lot. But overall, I thought you really worked hard, you really knew the material, and I thought you connected with the students as well too. Initially, there were a few things you did that were funny, you know, and I don't know whether you were intentionally meant for it, but, you know, it was just kind of, it relaxed everybody. And I think as you went on, you got a little bit more relaxed until, you know, the glitch with the,
Yes.
you know. I mean, what did you think? How'd you feel about it?
As soon as it started, I said, about a minute into it, that this is not the right clip. But I said, all right, now I'm going to have to talk about what was going to be discussed in the clip, which set me back about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
And I was aware of the time, but I knew the information, so it was just a matter of I had to dispense it instead.
Okay. You know, what you could have done, you just could have come up, you could have, you know, stopped it and
Right.
you could have done that, you know.
It was, and I felt like everyone was enjoying the video, so I said, let me just let them watch it.
Overall, very good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, well. Okay, we have, who's presenting on Tuesday? Who we got? Who's up? Caitlin and Shannon?
Right?
Let me double check.